My child, you've underestimated yourself, not because of pride, but because of pain. You've walked through so much, survived so quietly, endured so faithfully, that at some point you stopped seeing the weight of what was actually forming in you. You've measured your strength by how exhausted you feel. You've judged your progress by how long you've been waiting. You've assumed that because nothing around you has changed visibly, maybe nothing meaningful has been happening inside of you. But that's not true. What's forming in you is not small. What's developing inside you didn't die in the silence. It grew roots. And now, I need you to understand something with full clarity. You have no idea what you carry. But I do. And the time is coming when you will see it clearly too. You've been living through a season that feels invisible. Your obedience hasn't been noticed by others. Your sacrifices haven't been recognized. Your strength hasn't been celebrated. You've been showing up with integrity even when your emotions wanted to walk away. You've been holding on when it would have been easier to let go. You've been consistent when it would have felt more justified to collapse. That kind of quiet faithfulness doesn't get attention in the world, but it gets the attention of heaven. I've watched every moment. I've counted every step. I've marked every act of obedience, even when it came through trembling hands. And I want you to know, none of it has been wasted. The version of you that's emerging right now is not one that was built by applause. It was built in fire. And that fire didn't burn you. It refined you. It stripped away the need for external validation. It removed the illusions you once clung to for comfort. It revealed who you are when no one is watching, when there's no audience, no platform, no guarantee of reward. That's where identity is built. That's where I've been forming you. Not in spotlight, but in stillness. Not in moments of recognition, but in years of process. There were seasons you thought would destroy you, but they didn't. There were battles that nearly broke you, but they didn't. There were moments of silence so long that you almost believed I stopped speaking, but I hadn't. I was speaking through the silence. I was leading through what felt like loss. I was shaping through the slow days where nothing seemed to move. And now, you're standing on the other side of those seasons, not realizing the depth of who you've become. But I do. And soon, the world around you will begin to see it too. You've asked me, what now? What's next? Did I miss it? And I answer you now. You didn't miss anything. You've been right on time, even when the path felt wrong. You've been walking in alignment, even when it didn't feel clear. You've been growing even in rooms that felt like prisons. And now I'm going to reveal what I placed in you before any of this began. What you carry is not based on your effort. It's based on my design. I saw the weight you would carry before you were ever tested by it. I saw the impact you would make before anyone ever knew your name. I saw the depth of your call before you ever experienced pain. And I've been preparing you not for something ordinary, but for something eternal. There's more inside of you than what you've given yourself permission to believe. You've settled for survival because you got tired. You've lowered your expectations because disappointment tried to teach you how to protect yourself. But I didn't create you to live cautiously. I created you to live deeply, fully, boldly. There's a reason your heart keeps burning even when your hands are tired. There's a reason vision keeps returning, even when it's inconvenient. There's a reason you can't stay satisfied in shallow places. That's because you carry something that was never meant to fit inside a small, limited, safe version of your life. You carry purpose, you carry wisdom, you carry oil, and what's coming is not about discovering something new. It's about unleashing what's already inside of you. I'm not preparing something for you far away. I've been preparing you for what's already near. The next season will not be about finding yourself. It will be about finally recognizing who you've been becoming this whole time. You won't need to fake confidence. You'll carry clarity. You won't need to search for identity. You'll walk in it. You won't need to chase opportunities. You'll begin to attract them, not through force, but through alignment. So listen closely. The waiting has not been in vain. The delays were not denials. The silence was not absence. And your perceived invisibility has actually been my protection. I was hiding you not to withhold, but to refine, prepare, and activate. You're not empty. You're not stuck. You're not disqualified. You are full of something powerful, sacred, and appointed for this exact time in history. And now it's time to remember you have no idea what you carry, but you're about to find out. I see you in ways you don't see yourself. I see beyond your expressions, beyond your routines, beyond your ability to keep functioning. I see the internal narrative, the one you don't say out loud. I see the pressure you've placed on your own shoulders, the expectations that grew in silence, the doubts that settled in your soul over time. I've watched you do your best to stay faithful, to keep believing, to keep serving, even when your emotions weren't on board, even when you questioned everything, even when your faith became more about survival than inspiration. And none of that disqualifies you. It qualifies you, because I've never been looking for the ones who can perform perfectly. I've always been drawn to the ones who keep showing up when it's not easy to believe anymore. You are one of them. You have no idea how proud I am of you. You think I measure you by how consistent your emotions are. You think I calculate your value based on how strong you appear, how flawless your progress has been, or how others perceive your faith. But I don't. I never have. I measure differently. I measure by surrender, by proximity, by the way your heart still turns toward me when everything else feels unstable, by the way you still say yes to me in the quiet, even when nothing dramatic happens in return. I measure by faithfulness, not perfection. And by that standard, you are far stronger than you think. You've believed the lie that my approval is fragile, that one mistake, one season of confusion, one failure to perform might disqualify you. That's not my voice. That's the echo of pressure, of religious expectation, of past disappointment, dressed as discernment. I want you to hear me clearly. I have never revoked my call on your life. I have never pulled back my love. I have never rolled my eyes at your process. I am not impatient with your pace. I am not disillusioned by your pain. I am not angry at your weakness. I knew every crack in your foundation before I called you, and I still chose you. I chose you knowing how your faith would fluctuate, how your hope would wear thin, how your silence would sometimes be heavier than your words. I chose you with full awareness of what you would wrestle with along the way, and I have not changed. My mind, you carry something that cannot be measured by how productive your life looks. You carry something that wasn't born in public, but forged in the unseen. And though you've forgotten how much it cost you just to stay standing, I haven't. I remember the decisions you made when no one else was watching. I remember the nights when you prayed with no words, just tears. I remember the days you kept moving forward without any encouragement when hope was barely a flicker. And yet you still leaned into me. I remember the conversations you had with me in the dark, the small acts of obedience that no one saw but I received like worship. And now I say to you, I still see you, I still hear you, I still delight in you. You've been carrying your process like a burden, but I want you to begin seeing it as a sign of what you carry. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not forgotten. You're in the middle of a formation so deep that it can't be measured in surface results. You've outgrown shallow faith. You've been invited into depth. That's why some things didn't work out the way you hoped. That's why certain doors closed. That's why your timeline feels disrupted. Because I was never building what you thought I was. I was building something deeper, something that would last, something that wouldn't collapse under pressure or disappear when applause fades. You've tried to earn clarity through performance, but I'm offering you peace through surrender. I'm not asking you to strive your way into progress. I'm asking you to sit with me and listen. You've prayed for answers, but what I want is your attention. Because when you're close to me, answers lose their urgency. Presence becomes enough. And from that place, decisions become clearer, burdens feel lighter, and your identity stabilizes. You don't need a perfect plan. You need constant presence. I'm the plan. I'm the map. I'm the clarity you seek. So come close again. Not as someone who has to explain themselves, not as someone who has to fix everything before being embraced. Just come, with your questions, with your fatigue, with your messy thoughts, with your half-finished prayers. I don't need you polished. I need you present. This is not a performance stage. It's a home. You belong here. You're safe here. You're known here. You're wanted here. Let that truth be louder than the shame you've been carrying. You don't need to do more to be loved. You are already fully loved. You don't need to prove your worth through ministry, through effort, through emotional strength. I already proved your worth at the cross, and now I want to walk with you. Not to manage you, but to heal you. Not to use you and wear you out, but to partner with you in a way that brings life, not pressure. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not impatient with your humanity. I'm committed to your journey, not just your results. You keep asking what I want from you. Here's the answer. I want you, not just the strong parts. I want your tired heart, your doubting mind, your shaky faith. I want the part of you that doesn't know what to say, that's afraid to feel again, that wonders if they still qualify. I want the you who's been hidden behind responsibility and pressure. I want the part of you that longs for joy but doesn't know how to make room for it. I want the whole you, because only when you bring me the real you can I begin to show you the full picture of what you carry. And when you realize that I never stopped seeing you, never stopped believing in you, never stopped investing in your future, even when you stop believing in yourself, everything begins to shift. You begin to pray differently, think differently, walk differently. You stop comparing. You stop striving. You stop apologizing for being in process. You start living from rest, from awareness, from identity. So come back, not to perform, not to strive, not to earn. Come back to presence. That's where your power is. That's where your peace lives. That's where everything begins again. You have no idea what you carry, but the more time you spend with me, the more you'll begin to see it. And when you do, everything will change. You've wondered why the pain had to last so long, why certain seasons refused to end, why some wounds stayed open, no matter how many times you tried to heal. You've told yourself to move on, to stop thinking about it, to be stronger, to focus on what's ahead. But the pain never fully left. It lingered quietly, shaping the way you speak to yourself, the way you dream, the way you trust. And while you've blamed yourself for not being over it, I never blamed you. I've been with you, watching, not distant, not passive, but deeply involved. I didn't stop the pain because I was cruel. I allowed it because I was forming something eternal within you. And now it's time you see it with new eyes. The pain you endured was not proof of my absence. It was evidence of the weight I knew you could carry. I allowed you to feel things deeply, not to break you, but to carve space in your soul for depth, compassion, and wisdom that could not be learned through theory. You carry authority now that only pain can produce. Not the kind of authority that dominates rooms or demands attention, but the kind that recognizes brokenness in others and doesn't look away. The kind that understands without judgment. The kind that can hold space for healing because it has walked through darkness and still believes in light. You've asked me, why did they hurt me? Why didn't you stop them? Why did you let me stay in places where I was overlooked, misunderstood, taken for granted? And here is the truth you need to hear. I never wanted you to be hurt. I never designed those people to treat you that way. But I allowed the exposure. I allowed the fracture. Not because I agreed with what was done, but because I knew how I would redeem it. I knew what I would build from the ruins. I knew how I would take what was meant to break you and turn it into a platform for healing, for wisdom, for purpose. You didn't stay in those places because you were weak. You stayed because you were loyal. You stayed because you believed the best. You stayed because you thought love meant sacrificing your peace. And I see that. I honor that. And now, I'm here to tell you, you are no longer required to carry that pain as proof of your faithfulness. You can let it go, not because it didn't matter, but because it already served its purpose. It exposed what needed to be healed. It purified your motives. It taught you to see beyond appearances. It made you pay attention to your inner life, to the places where you learned to perform instead of be. That pain taught you how to hear me in stillness. It trained your spirit to move with discernment. It taught you what can't come with you into the next season. Not because you're bitter, but because you're wiser now. And I want to speak directly to the part of you that still questions whether the suffering was necessary. You think that if you had made better choices, prayed harder, listened more closely, maybe it wouldn't have happened. But I want you to release yourself from that weight. You didn't miss it. You didn't mess it up. I didn't let you walk through pain because you failed. I allowed it because I was committed to your formation. There were things you asked me for that required depth. You asked me to trust you with more. You asked me to prepare you. And this is what preparation often looks like. Fire, not to destroy, but to purify. Pressure, not to crush, but to form. Loss, not to punish, but to detach you from what you didn't realize was limiting your growth. You've seen the pain as a pause, but I've seen it as progress. Because in the process, your false identities began to fall away. The version of you that needed approval started to die. The version that thought performance equals love started to dissolve. The version that sought to prove instead of simply be, I'm the one who buried that version of you, not to erase you, but to raise you into someone who can walk in purpose without needing constant validation. You are no longer building on survival. You are building on revelation. And that revelation is this: you are stronger than you feel, wiser than you know, and more ready than you realize. Even the tears you cried in secret were never wasted. They watered the very ground from which your next season will grow. What you thought was weakness was actually a seed. What you thought was failure was actually formation. And what you thought would bury you is now becoming the soil for others to find life. You will not carry the pain forward. You will carry the fruit of it. Not the trauma, not the confusion, but the fire-tested identity that came out of it. And that identity will speak louder than any explanation you could ever give. You don't need to defend your journey. Just live it. The results will speak. Now breathe again. You don't need to keep asking, why me? The answer is clear, because what you carry is too important to be built in shallow places. Because what I've assigned to your life could not rest on a foundation built in ease. Because I saw the future impact of your obedience, and I knew what it would take to build it well. And so, yes, I allowed the long road. But I've walked it with you the entire time. And now we begin to redeem what seemed like loss. The healing is not coming later. The healing is here, and it begins with you seeing your pain not as evidence of defeat, but as a sign of calling. because people who carry much feel much. People who impact deeply often weep deeply, but those same people walk with clarity the world can't understand. You have no idea what you carry, but I do. And that includes the weight of your scars. They are not shameful, they are holy. And now it's time to walk as someone who knows. Nothing you've survived was in vain. It was all part of the shaping. And now it becomes your strength. You've been asking when it will finally happen, when the change will come, when the weight will lift, when the promise will appear in full color instead of living only in your spirit. You've waited so long that you started wondering if maybe you misheard me. Maybe you dreamed too big. Maybe you expected too much. But I'm here to tell you that the delay was not denial, and the silence was not rejection. The timeline was never broken. It was being refined. And now, the movement you've been waiting for is already underway. Not about to happen. Already happening. You are standing in the early waves of fulfillment, even if your eyes haven't caught up yet. Even if your heart still feels like it's guarding itself from hope, I am moving, and it's closer than you realize. What I've started to release in your life will not show up with fanfare. It won't always come in dramatic signs or loud shifts. It will first begin in the atmosphere around you, in the way conversations start to change, in the restlessness you feel, in places you once tolerated, in the way you start seeing certain relationships lose their pull. These are not emotional mood swings. These are spiritual signals. What I placed in you is beginning to rise to the surface. And because of that, everything that does not align with what's rising must begin to fall away. That discomfort you've been feeling, that sense that something is coming even when nothing looks different, that's me. That's the spirit within you, bearing witness to the shift that is already taking place. You will begin to notice divine interruptions. Moments where the ordinary is suddenly filled with clarity. A conversation you didn't expect that speaks directly to what you've been praying about. A delay that, at first, feels like disappointment, but later reveals it was protection. Unexpected moments of peace when fear tries to speak. These are not accidents. These are signals. You asked me to lead you. I'm doing it. Not through dramatic fireworks, but through divine alignment. I'm placing you in the right rooms with the right people at the right time. Some of it won't make sense at first because I'm moving faster than your logic can process. But I need you to stay open. Don't cling to old rhythms out of fear. Don't try to force the timing back into the shape of your expectations. Just stay close, stay yielded, and watch. I'm also bringing restoration. Quietly, steadily, powerfully. Relationships that were broken will begin to heal. Not all of them, but the ones that still carry purpose. Your capacity for hope will begin to expand again. What once felt lost will start returning, not in the same form, but in a redeemed, refined version. What you thought you missed will come back around, reintroduced by my hand, not by your effort. There are people you haven't met yet who are already assigned to bless you. There are opportunities being prepared that are perfectly timed to your growth, not your performance. You are not being thrown forward unprepared. You are being sent with weight, with clarity, with presence. And when the moment comes, you will not need to scramble or second guess. You will recognize it because I've already been preparing you in private. Provision is coming, not just financially, but provision of peace, of strength, of energy, of wisdom. You have been pouring out without seeing much return, and I've seen that. I've counted every unseen sacrifice. Now I'm releasing strength in the areas where you've been depleted. You will begin to feel focus return. You will wake up with clarity. You will make decisions without fear. Not because circumstances have all changed, but because you have. I've shifted you from fear-based cycles into faith-based rhythm, and that rhythm will sustain what's coming next. Some things you depended on will fall away completely. Not because you failed, but because they have served their purpose. Certain connections, positions, habits, even language. It's time to let them go. Not everything that carried you here can walk with you into what's next. I'm not asking you to cut off things in bitterness. I'm inviting you to release them in peace. What I have prepared for you requires focus, and the clutter of the last season can no longer follow you forward. There will also be acceleration. What took years before will now begin to unfold in weeks. Not because I'm rushing, but because I've already done the deep work in you. What seemed delayed was actually development. And now, with your roots deeper and your spirit stronger, I can move at the pace of heaven through your life. Expect sudden connections, unexpected open doors, rapid clarity, creative flow. These are not random waves of luck. These are harvests of obedience. You've sown when no one watched. You've stayed when others ran. You've stood when your own mind told you to quit. And now, heaven is honoring what only I saw. So lift your head. Shake off the weight of false timelines. Release the pressure to explain what's coming. You won't need to prove anything. The fruit will speak. The doors will open. The confirmation will come. And when it does, walk through it with boldness. Not arrogance, not apology. Boldness. Because you'll know this is what I built you for. This is what I shaped in secret. This is what the tears watered. This is what the silence refined. This is the beginning of the outward evidence of an inward journey that cost you more than anyone knows. You have no idea what you carry, but you're about to start seeing it manifest in ways that confirm everything I've whispered in the dark. Now that the promise has been confirmed and the signs are showing, your next step is not to wait. It's to respond. This is where faith becomes more than what you believe. This is where faith becomes what you practice. I'm not asking you to perform. I'm not asking you to strive. I'm inviting you to align, to build a daily life that matches the weight of what you carry. Because everything I've deposited in you needs a container. And that container is not your willpower. It's your rhythm, it's your choices. It's your posture in ordinary moments. There is a pace of heaven I want you to walk in. Not frantic, not pressured, but steady, clear, and consistent. That's where fruit grows. That's where peace remains. That's where power lives. The first place I want you to realign is in how you start your day. The beginning of your day is a gate, and whoever or whatever walks through it first often sets the tone for everything that follows. I want you to give me the first moments again, not as a performance, but as an offering. It could be 10 minutes or an hour. I'm not measuring your spirituality in time. I'm watching your posture. Before you reach for your phone, reach for my voice. Before you invite in the opinions of the world, invite my peace to settle over your soul. I want to shape the atmosphere of your day before pressure has a chance to define it. In that stillness, I will speak. In that silence, I will strengthen. In that space, I will fill you in ways you didn't even know you were empty. Let me guide your inner world. Let prayer become your pulse again. Not long speeches, not religious repetition, just honesty, rhythm, flow. Talk to me. Listen. Pause. Breathe. Ask me what's true when lies are loud. Ask me where to go when direction feels unclear. Stop trying to navigate your calling in your own understanding. I'm not just your God. I'm your counselor, your companion, your breath. If you live without me at the center, even the right opportunities will feel overwhelming. But when you walk with me at the center, even the unknown becomes sacred ground. Your habits matter, not because they make you holy, but because they keep your heart open. Start protecting your peace again. That means saying no more often. That means being honest about what drains you. That means turning down voices that steal your focus and limit your clarity. You can't live like everyone else and carry what I've given you. There will always be people who misunderstand your pace, your silence, your consecration. That's okay. You weren't made for common spaces. You were made to carry oil, and oil requires pressure, process, and purity, not perfection. Purity of focus, of intent, of devotion. Return to my word, not just as content, but as conversation. Let Scripture rewire your expectations. Let truth override the stories your fear has been telling you. You don't need a new revelation every day. Sometimes you need to sit with one verse until it breaks open. What's been locked in your spirit for years. Meditate on what I highlight. Speak it out loud. Declare it until your language changes. My word is not passive. It's alive. It's surgical. It cuts through confusion. It silences chaos, and it sets the course when everything around you is unclear. Don't let it be an afterthought. Let it be your foundation. Watch your posture in small decisions. This is where alignment gets tested, not in public moments of breakthrough, but in private moments of obedience. When I nudge your heart to reach out, do it. When I convict you to release something, don't hesitate. When I whisper to wait, when everything in you wants to move, trust me. You don't need to understand every step. You just need to obey the one in front of you. Faith is not loud. It's consistent. And the consistent are the ones who see lasting fruit. Also begin preparing your life practically, not out of anxiety, but out of expectation. If I've spoken increase, make room for it. If I've promised a shift, start simplifying what needs to be released. If I've spoken of impact, start developing the skills and structure that will help you carry that with integrity. This is not ambition. This is stewardship. Don't call preparation unnecessary just because you can't see the full picture yet. Noah built before it rained. Joseph interpreted dreams while still in prison. David trained in private fields before anyone knew his name. You are not wasting time. You are building capacity. And above all, stay close. Do not confuse movement with maturity. Stay low. Stay teachable. Stay aware of your dependence on me. Because the more I release, the more you'll need my voice, not less. The more influence I give, the more intimacy I require. I don't want to give you something that pulls you away from me. I want to walk with you into fulfillment. I want you to arrive there full of peace, not full of pressure, full of identity, not performance. That's why I've trained you this way. That's why I've slowed things down. Not to delay, but to protect. So now live like you believe me. Build like what I said is already unfolding. Pray like the doors are already moving. Rest like the answer is already set. Speak like your words shape atmosphere. Listen like my whispers hold more weight than the loudest lies. Move like you know exactly what you carry. Because you do carry something holy, and now you are learning how to walk with it. You've spent so much of your life adjusting who you are based on what you've walked through, and somewhere along the way, you began to lose sight of what I originally placed in you. Pain reshaped how you viewed yourself. Rejection made you question your value. Delay made you doubt your strength. Disappointment made you hesitate to dream again. And slowly, subtly, the identity I gave you began to be replaced by survival roles. Strong when you needed to be held. Silent when you needed to be heard. Distant when you longed to be close. You adapted because you had to, and I see that. I know you weren't trying to hide. I know you were trying to protect something inside you that kept getting wounded. But today I want to restore what the process tried to bury. I want to remind you that you are not the version of yourself shaped by trauma, fear, or exhaustion. You are still who I said you were. You've been carrying names I never gave you. Too much. Too late. Too broken. Not enough. You've been repeating things to yourself that I never spoke over you. I should be further. I'm falling behind. I missed it. I don't matter anymore. These are not my words. They are distortions that came from environments of disappointment, comparison, and burnout. You don't even realize how loud those internal statements have become. You speak them over your mind, your body, your calling, without even noticing. But I notice, and I'm not angry. I'm not ashamed of your process. I just want you to be free. Free from the low ceilings you've built over yourself. Free from the pressure to prove your worth. Free from the smallness you've learned to live inside. I'm not just lifting you, I'm rebuilding you. Not a better version of the old you, a restored version of the original you. The one who is whole. The one who is loved. The one who still carries power even after the pain. Let me speak truth into the layers that have been twisted by experience. You are not your most broken moment. You are not the mistakes you regret. You are not the person others misunderstood, rejected, or underestimated. You're not the version of yourself who is exhausted from trying to earn belonging. I have never measured your worth by your performance, your perfection, or your pace. I chose you when you had nothing to offer but a willing heart. I loved you before you knew how to pray. I called you before you had language for purpose. That has not changed. I see you now with the same delight as the day I formed you. You are not behind. You are in process. And my process is never without purpose. You've been trying to fix what only I can restore. You've tried to force yourself back into passion, into confidence, into clarity. But identity doesn't come from effort. It comes from encounter. And right now, I'm encountering you again. Not with demands, but with reminder. I'm reminding you that you are not forgotten, not ignored, not replaced. You are still chosen, still marked, still set apart for something holy. Your tenderness is not a weakness. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. Your story is not disqualified because it doesn't fit the mold others expect. I designed you with divine intention. Every detail, every desire, every capacity. Nothing about you is random. Nothing about your journey is wasted. Stop apologizing for the way I made you. Stop shrinking to fit people's comfort zones. Stop watering down your voice to avoid criticism. Stop labeling yourself based on seasons that were only meant to shape, not define. You're not just surviving, you're carrying glory. You're housing a portion of my spirit that no one else on earth carries in the exact same way. You've walked through the fire and didn't burn. You've stood in the silence and didn't fall. You've believed again even when it cost you. That kind of resilience doesn't make you proud. It makes you ready. I want you to walk again, with your head lifted, not because you're perfect, but because you're mine. I want you to speak again with conviction, not because everyone will agree, but because you finally know who sent you. I want you to take up space again, not with arrogance, but with awareness of what you carry. I'm not calling you to imitate anyone else's path. I'm calling you to honor your own. Your timeline is not broken. Your story is not off course. You're exactly where I need you to be. And I will redeem every step, even the ones you regret, especially those, because I don't just restore the heart, I restore the narrative. I take the chapters you tried to skip and turn them into the most sacred ones. This is the season of returning, not to who you were before things went wrong, but to the truth of who you've always been in me. No more pretending, no more striving, no more settling. You are walking into alignment with a name that has been written over you since the beginning. Chosen, beloved, trusted, seen, empowered, sent. This is not hype. This is not theory. This is identity. And when you begin to believe it, truly believe it, your entire rhythm will change. You'll speak differently, decide differently, respond differently. You'll stop chasing rooms that were never meant for you and start building the space I designed for you to walk in. You'll stop waiting to feel worthy enough and start living like someone who already has my full endorsement. So take a breath. Let my voice be louder than the internal critic you've been listening to. Let my truth settle where lies once built fortresses. Let my peace restore your emotional landscape. You do not need to fix yourself to return. You are already fully embraced, fully seen, fully loved. The real you, the deep you, the version that's rising now, not from performance, but from healing. You're not just getting better, you're coming back to life, because you have no idea what you carry, but I do. And it begins with remembering who you are. You've come a long way. You've survived what others would have quit under. You've surrendered to a process most wouldn't have stayed in. But what I'm giving you now isn't just breakthrough. It's a mantle, a way of life, a new way of walking. And if you're going to carry what I've entrusted to you, you must begin to build the kind of rhythm that supports it. Not just spiritually, but practically. Because a holy calling cannot rest on a scattered life. What I've placed in you requires stability, not perfection, not constant movement, but rootedness. And that comes from the way you live when no one else is watching. The first place you must return to is intentional prayer. Not just when you're overwhelmed, not just when you need answers, but as the rhythm of your day. Think of prayer not as an emergency exit, but as a meeting place. A room I wait in, a daily space where your soul realigns, your ears tune in, and your heart gets recalibrated. Don't wait for a moment to feel spiritual before you pray. Show up tired, distracted, numb if you must. But show up. Let your silence be prayer. Let your tears be prayer. Let your honesty be prayer. You're not coming to me for performance. You're coming to me to live from presence. And that presence will do in 5 minutes what striving cannot do in months. Create a space in your day where nothing and no one comes before me. You don't need hours. You need consistency. You need sincerity. That is where spiritual weight is built. Alongside prayer, immerse yourself again in my word, not as a task to accomplish or a rule to obey, but as your daily food. You've been starving your spirit trying to feed your mind with information, entertainment, and reaction. But what I want to give you is nourishment, strength that doesn't fluctuate with circumstances, truth that becomes part of how you think, feel, and respond. You don't need to read a book a day. Start with one passage, one line, one truth. Let it speak to you. Let it settle in your body. Ask me what it means. Sit with it until your inner dialogue begins to shift. This is not about reading for knowledge. It's about feeding your spirit so that you can carry peace even when nothing around you makes sense. As your internal world starts to take shape, you must also pay attention to your atmosphere. There are things in your life that once seemed harmless, but are no longer neutral. Some distractions are just that, distractions. But others are assignments from the enemy to dilute what I'm doing in you. You don't have time to keep reattaching to things I've already told you to release. That doesn't mean you live in fear or with hypervigilance. It means you live aware. Your time is holy. Your energy is sacred. What you consume, listen to, and engage with either sharpens or weakens your clarity. Choose what feeds your purpose. Choose what stirs your hunger for me. Choose what keeps your spirit open. Don't apologize for setting boundaries. Don't hesitate to move away from what no longer matches the season I've called you into. And now, let's talk about your posture. Not the posture of your body, but of your heart. The way you carry yourself matters. I want to teach you to walk in humility. Not the kind that hides, but the kind that stays open. Teachable. Quick to respond. Slow to defend. a heart that lets me adjust direction without resistance. That's how spiritual maturity grows, not from how much you do, but from how quickly you obey when I speak. And I do speak. Daily. Not always with volume, but always with precision. You will know it's me not by the force of my voice, but by the peace that settles with it. As you learn to listen, I will begin to lead you in small acts of quiet obedience, the kind that doesn't look impressive to anyone else, but in the spirit, they shake things. It may be as simple as sending a message, choosing stillness over striving, releasing a grudge, deleting a distraction, waking up 10 minutes earlier to sit with me. Don't overlook these things. They are not small in my eyes. They are the bricks of the foundation I'm laying under you. A life led by my Spirit is not built in big public moments. It's built in quiet rooms with open hearts. I'm also calling you into intentional rest. You've been trained to see rest as weakness, laziness, or lost time. But I created rest as holy. Rest is how you recover your soul, how you return to center, how you silence the false pressure to constantly perform. I don't want your pace to be determined by pressure. I want it shaped by peace. Rest is not optional in this season. It's warfare. It's resistance against the systems of burnout that try to destroy your joy. And it's trust. Trust that I will keep working even when you're still, that you don't need to hold everything together to stay in alignment with my plan. I am the one sustaining what I started. Your role is to remain connected, not constantly busy. Lastly, stay open to correction, confirmation, and community. I will speak through Scripture, through quiet conviction, and yes, through others. Stay close to people who carry oil, who challenge you gently but clearly, who stir your faith without feeding your ego. You don't need to be surrounded by many, just by the right ones. And when I highlight something in you that needs adjustment, respond quickly. That's how fire stays pure. That's how fruit keeps growing. This is not about living religiously. This is about living responsively, with rhythm, with focus, with margin to hear, to breathe, to obey. Because what I've placed in you is real, and now it needs the right environment to grow. You have no idea what you carry, but this is how you protect it. This is how you walk with it, and soon this is how others will receive from it. The shift has already begun. This is not something you're working toward. This is something I am unfolding now, quietly, strategically, unstoppably. I have set things in motion in the unseen that are now aligning in the natural. What you've been carrying in prayer, in silence, in questions, in submission, it is no longer in waiting. It is in movement. What I spoke to you in secret will now begin to echo in the open. Not all at once, and not to impress others, but to confirm to you what I've known from the beginning. You are ready, and the time is now. There are alignments that will come together in the next season that you could never have created on your own. Conversations you didn't schedule, doors you didn't knock on, people you weren't looking for, but who recognize what you carry the moment they meet you. This is not coincidence. This is divine timing. I have brought you through a long season of preparation, and now the preparation is meeting the moment. The shift may look small at first, but don't underestimate what starts as a whisper. The greatest fires begin in silence. You are not being pushed forward. You are being released. And when I release, I also cover. You will not have to carry this alone. I have already placed provision, people, and clarity along your path. There are doors opening in places that used to be closed to you. Doors you gave up on. Dreams you buried because time made them feel impossible. But I do not submit to time. I created it, and I am redeeming the years you thought were lost. Not just by restoring what you had, but by giving you what only this version of you, this healed, mature, grounded version, can carry well. I will not bring you opportunities that destroy your peace. I will not open doors that compromise your integrity. I will not promote you to places your character cannot sustain. What's coming has been crafted for you, and you have been crafted for it. Your name is already being spoken in places you haven't entered yet, not by manipulation or self-promotion, but by my design. I am positioning you in alignment with assignments that match your anointing. You don't need to force visibility. What I'm doing in you will be seen when it's time. And when it is, it will not be for performance. It will be for impact. You are not a brand. You are a vessel. And I will use your life to bring healing, clarity, order, and courage to people who don't need another speech. They need substance. They need what I placed in you in the dark. And yes, there will be resistance. The enemy knows what you carry, and he will do everything he can to distract you, delay you, and discourage you. But what he cannot do is stop what I've ordained. The resistance is not a sign that you are failing. It's a sign that you are advancing. When you start to feel the pressure rise, don't panic. Don't retreat. Return to the rhythm I've built in you. Return to the quiet where my voice still leads. Return to the clarity that came before things got loud. You have nothing to prove. You only need to remain. I will also begin to stir things around you that will force decisions. Some doors will close completely, not to punish you, but to prevent you from going back to what no longer fits. Some relationships will shift, not because of bitterness, but because the distance is now part of your protection. I'm making room. Do not grieve the endings that are attached to this beginning. Let me finish the separation so I can finalize the sending. This is not loss. This is pruning. And what remains will bear fruit faster than anything you've seen before. I'm even going to accelerate things that were stagnant for years. There will be sudden movements, financial, relational, ministerial, emotional, because the delay has completed its purpose. I didn't hold things back to torment you. I withheld certain things until the environment was ready, until your posture was aligned, until your foundation could carry the weight. Now it can. So I'm releasing what I withheld. It will not come with pressure, it will come with peace. And you'll know it's me because it won't feel like striving. It will feel like flow. So prepare, not in fear, but in reverence. Not with frantic action, but with quiet readiness. Keep your ears sensitive. Keep your life clean. Keep your heart soft. Because when the phone rings, when the offer comes, when the opportunity appears, when the encounter unfolds, you won't have time to get ready. You'll need to already be in posture. And you will be, because I've brought you through too much to have you miss this now. This is not hype. This is harvest. This is not your imagination. This is manifestation. And it's closer than it feels, because you have no idea what you carry. But now, everything you carry is about to be seen. Now that you've seen what I've said and sensed what I'm doing, I need you to pause, not to analyze, not to plan, but to receive. What I'm about to release in you cannot be managed by strategy or protected by logic. It must be experienced. I'm not here to give you more instructions. I'm here to fill the space that obedience has opened. You've positioned yourself, you've yielded, you've listened, and now I come closer. My spirit is not just near. He is here in this moment where your attention is clear and your heart is ready. What happens next won't be loud on the outside, but it will shift everything inside. There are things you've been carrying emotionally, mentally, and spiritually that I am ready to lift off you, not with explanation, but with encounter. You don't need more words. You need presence. You don't need more revelation. You need renewal. I am here to give you what can't be found in discipline alone, deep restoration, And I will begin that restoration now. You will feel it not always in signs and wonders, but in quiet release. You will feel it when your body starts to rest again. You will feel it when your mind stops racing. You will feel it when your heart no longer reacts with fear to old triggers. This is not temporary relief. This is internal recreation. You've compartmentalized yourself to survive. You've managed your pain to stay functional. But now, I want full access. I want to enter the parts of you that are still guarded, the places where trauma taught you to build walls, the moments you never revisited because the memories were too sharp. Let me in. I already know what's there. I'm not repelled by your weakness. I'm not startled by what you still carry. I'm not disappointed in your exhaustion. I came to lift it. I came to breathe on the embers that never fully went out. You think your fire is gone, but I say, it's ready to be reignited. Breathe now, not just with your lungs, but with your soul. Let the tension leave your shoulders. Let the weight fall from your chest. I am placing my spirit on you again, not to send you into battle, but to settle you into belonging. This anointing is not for public validation. It's for personal alignment. I want to walk with you again, moment by moment, not just in ministry or leadership or service, but in stillness. I want to show you what it means to be fully alive with me in the small, invisible parts of your life. Washing dishes, walking in silence, making decisions, resting, listening. This is what it means to carry me, not just in purpose, but in presence. Let me rewrite the voice in your head, the one that questions every step, the one that criticizes your own progress, the one that asks, is this real? Is this lasting? Will this fade too? That's not my voice. I don't lead with fear. I don't speak in anxiety. I don't build with shame. I'm not inviting you into another emotional high. I'm anchoring you into a deeper normal, where clarity is not a moment, but a mindset, where peace is not a break from chaos, but your constant, where identity is not what you strive to prove, but what you wake up rooted in. You will begin to feel a shift from within. The way you speak will change, not by trying, but by overflow. The way you react to pressure will soften. The way you make decisions will settle. The spirit of truth inside you will begin to speak louder than the voices outside of you. You won't need to force boldness. You will walk in peace, and that peace will speak for you. Your atmosphere will carry calm. Your presence will host clarity. Because where my spirit dwells, order flows, fear leaves, shame dissolves, and joy returns. Let me reintroduce you to joy, not the fragile kind that depends on outcomes, the real kind, the kind that lives deep in the soul, the kind that sings in silence and dances in stillness, the kind that reminds you, you're safe, you're known, you're mine. That joy is your inheritance, and I'm restoring it now. You've cried long enough over what left. You've grieved long enough over what didn't happen. You've carried enough tension in your chest. Breathe now. I am here. This is not a visit. This is a habitation. I'm not passing through. I'm taking residence. You don't have to beg for me to stay. I never planned to leave. You don't have to prove you're worthy. I already chose you. You don't have to fight to hear me. I'm already speaking. Just slow down. Stay open. Let me walk with you in the rhythm of grace. One day at a time. One decision at a time. One moment at a time. The weight you feel is not pressure, it's glory. It's what happens when a surrendered vessel becomes a resting place for my spirit. Because you have no idea what you carry until you let me fill all of it. You've reached the end of this message, but you haven't reached the end of what I'm doing in you. This is not a moment of closure. It's a moment of activation. Everything I've spoken over you, everything I've reminded you, everything I've poured into your spirit was never meant to stay in the place of revelation. It was meant to become reality. You are no longer someone just holding on to a word. You are someone becoming the word I spoke. This is the moment where everything I've said begins to take shape through the way you walk, speak, think, pray, decide, and live. I have realigned your posture. I have removed the false weight. I have filled the empty spaces. And now I call you to walk as one who knows what they carry, even if you can't see all of it yet. Even if your surroundings still feel ordinary. Even if nothing external shouts, breakthrough. Because your transformation did not begin with a spotlight, it began in surrender. And surrender is what creates strength that lasts. From this moment forward, I want you to speak from identity, pray from presence, build from alignment, move with clarity, expect with peace. You don't need to force anything. What I've started will grow. What I've confirmed will stand. What I've revealed will continue to unfold. I'm not giving you a feeling to chase. I'm giving you a fire to carry. You are not stepping into pressure. You are stepping into rhythm. The version of you that I've developed through process, that's the version I'm sending now. And when resistance comes, you will not respond like you used to. You will not retreat into doubt. You will not spiral into fear. You will remember who you are and what I said. You will return to my voice, and you will find me steady, near, unchanged. This is the beginning of your new normal. Not without challenge, but with deep-rooted presence. Not without risk, but with undeniable authority. Not with all the answers, but with me, dwelling inside you with all power, peace, and provision. You're not walking into your next season as someone searching. You're walking in as someone sent. And when people ask how you're still standing, how you carry so much peace, how your clarity returned, how doors began to open, how the fire stayed lit, you'll know. You'll remember this moment, and you'll smile. Not because it all made sense, but because it all became real. You carry more than you can currently comprehend. But as you walk it out, I will show you. I will unfold it. I will increase it. Because you have no idea what you carry until you live like it's already yours. Amen. Share this word with someone who forgot what they carry. Leave a like so others can find the same healing you've received. Turn on notifications to never miss what heaven is saying next. Stay connected. This journey doesn't end here.